Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this live stream. My name is Amy Lasota, and I'm a Senior Associate Director with the Master's Admissions team at Tepper. Before I introduce our panelists, or let them introduce themselves, I just want to give a very brief overview of the online hybrid MBA at Tepper. We are currently ranked number 2 in Best Online MBA Programs. Our online hybrid is actually the same exact STEM designated MBA as our full-time students receive. You attend live virtual classes during the week with the same professors that teach the same courses. It takes a little bit longer to complete. Our full-time program is 2 years. The online hybrid program is 2.8 years. But you are still able to continue working while you are in the program, applying what you learned directly the next day. We do offer an accelerated version, which reduces the program down to 2 years. So that's just a very brief explanation. If you have any questions about the program in general, when we get to Q&A, I welcome those questions. But I would like to introduce our panelists. Rebecca, would you please go first and introduce yourself? Tell us what you were doing pre-MBA and where your professional journey has taken you now.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Huey, and I am a part-time Tepper MBA student. So I came in this past August and graduated in 2026. So before this, I was a practicing physician. I work at Highmark as a medical director, and before that, I was medical director at Butler Health System in the hospitalist program. And before that, I was faculty at a residency program and held multiple positions, both inpatient and outpatient in the clinical world. So I will pause there and let Femi introduce himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope everyone can hear me. My name is Femi Ajawale. I'm an associate partner at McKinsey, which is a consulting firm. I started my career, interestingly enough, in engineering, structural engineering. I did an undergrad at Lehigh University, and then I did a master's, a graduate of engineering at Virginia Tech, which my parents are probably like, why did we pay for that? After that, I went into actually practicing engineering, and then I did a little rotation with the company I was with, then got my MBA in the hybrid program at Carnegie Mellon, which transitioned me into consulting, and loved it ever since. So excited to be here and looking forward to talking to folks.
Femi, so many engineers come into the program and ended up going into consulting. So
yeah, that's right.
You're in good company for sure.
That's
right. So, you're talking about, what you were doing pre-MBA. So what were some of the deciding factors in choosing Tepper for your MBA? And as a follow-up to that, why part-time instead of full-time? Femi, I'll put you on the spot first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'll answer both sides of those questions threefold. So I think first for me, Tepper, by the way, Tepper was the only one I applied to, and it also constitutes because I wanted to continue working. And at the time, and quite frankly, still now, it was just the top program that allowed me the flexibility to continue working and reach my aspirations, professionally, but also kind of help feed into that continuous learning mode that I always had. And I knew personally that I wanted to pivot more on the business side of things. So Tepper was just clearly top school, incredible institutional knowledge, incredible, quite frankly, brand, to be honest. And also allowed me the flexibility to progress professionally while still, getting that urgency that I needed to continue to learn and feeding that appetite. So that's why it was for me. On the second part of that question, I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing to do, to work and still, go to school and do that. But I think the decision overall was great, and I'm leveraging that today as I work at McKinsey. So.
Okay. Well, for me, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I was very familiar with the caliber of Carnegie Mellon University. And I moved back to Pittsburgh in 2018 from North Carolina, where I had spent most of my training. I did my med school at Carolina, and then my residency and faculty at Duke. So I was in North Carolina for like 21 years. Came back here and went to pivot from hospital administration to health to Highmark. and really wanted an MBA to expand my knowledge and to have those tools to be able to operate in that corporate environment. And Tepper was the only one I applied to as well, because that's where I wanted to go, and I was also not going to move. On top of that, I mean, to have such a great school right in your own backyard, and I'm very interested in analytics, and I'm very interested in AI and the intersection of AI and analytics in healthcare. And so, I mean, this just made sense to me in so many different ways to come to Tepper. So, and so far, it's just been a good choice.
Yeah, and we now have a concentration in AI,
Mhm.
and that is available to our online hybrid students as well. So that's really exciting. So, what were some of the resources once you were at Tepper, or even the experiences, can be a resource or an experience that you found to be the most supportive, or you are finding, Rebecca?
I find the faculty, it's hard to say most supportive, like most and least they're always difficult for me because there's, so many supportive aspects. But for me, the faculty in a lot of ways, because I am, a professional who's going back to school. One, sometimes generationally, I can identify with the faculty and have been faculty and just really connect with them. And they're always so open to questions, or open to meet during office hours or outside of office hours, or just have a discussion, a personal discussion about life, about, how to succeed either in school, or, anecdotes about life as a professional. So I found the faculty to be invaluable in a lot of different ways.
Great. How about you, Femi?
Yeah, I think for me, quite frankly, it was my cohort. I think it was last year, we just did a cohort reunion in San Diego. And it was just the breadth and depth of exposure to various people in different industries. So I come from engineering and construction. One of my best friends that I met there in the cohort worked for Apple and Google. Another one worked for Nike, which was in merchandising. It's just you meet such a different array of people that you stay in touch with, and especially in my role in consulting, you kind of have to be, understand different realms, different markets, and things like that. And I'll tell you, I'll just give them a call, and the information that they have within their industries is just invaluable. So I would say, I mean, the faculty is amazing. Don't get me wrong there, but the people that I've kept in touch with post my MBA is incredible. Actually, I'm doing a surf camp with one in Ecuador next week. So like
Yeah.
it's incredible. That's personally for me what I've really kept close to heart.
Yeah. I hear that a lot from current students and alum. Like, your network is like, that's going to be your network for the rest of your professional career, and it is really close and strong. Throwing you off course a little bit, while you were in the program, because it was online, how did you find ways to connect with your cohort?
I could take that one. I think the access weekends were incredible. So I personally did not just want a purely, internet-based MBA, and there's nothing wrong with it, to each their own. It just wasn't going to be for me. I like the personable side of things. And again, the combination of what I wanted was be able to accelerate professionally while still, feeding that knowledge institutionally and gaining that sense of education from an MBA standpoint, but also meeting and developing relationships with different people. That's what I've always heard that the MBA provided. And I think that access weekends, that hybrid side of it is incredible. I don't think I would have gotten as much if it was just purely online, candidly, but I think the hybrid side and the access weekends are such a great touch points. And, you do all your work during the day, but trust me, you still go out at night and you still have a good time and you still get to know each other. So, I mean, we still all share stories about our access weekends. So the access weekends are great.
Yeah, so I guess I should explain what an access weekend
Oh,
is.
I'm sorry.
So
Yeah.
no, that's fine. So one of the really nice components of our MBA that kind of sets us apart from others is that we do have an in-person component. It actually, so when Femi was in the program, it used to be every 7 weeks you would come to campus. Um, you just have to get yourself to Pittsburgh. We put you up in a hotel. We provide transportation, meals. Um, but now it's just 3 times a year is in person. So same thing, but you attend class in person. You might attend an Accelerate Leadership workshop to develop your leadership style. You might be meeting with the Master's Career Center. There are other things, Experience CMU, which would be other departments on campus. You might have you done the Acting for Business workshop, Rebecca?
Not yet, but I plan
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. So, so it might be something like that. And then there's always a social component. So you come in Thursday night, you leave Sunday, and it's a really great way for you to get to connect with your cohort. But but yeah, so how did you stay connected, Rebecca? Like during the program, or right now, you're in the program.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would echo access weekends is
yeah.
the main touch point. And the thing about the access weekends is they feel a little bit chaotic just because there's so many people and so much going on. But then once things settle down, it really is nice to be able to see people in person that we just see online and to, to have those side conversations and find out what people do, resources that they have. I mean, I'm in medicine. There are people, tons of people in engineering, people, in consulting, finance. And so people have stories that I've just never heard before, never been exposed to before. And that's a huge part of the learning is just hearing other people's stories, where they're coming from, where they're going, and then meeting them along the way and possibly journeying with them part of the time. And then, we go home and we're all enriched for that experience. So echo the access weekends, and it also sets Tepper apart. Femi, I agree. It's difficult for me to just completely be online with anything, and I've tried just online courses. Like, oh, let me take this, and it just sits there. It sits there. So thank you for letting me know I can actually do several online courses successfully. It just takes a little bit more support and encouragement.
Yeah, great. So, were there any specific pivots that you've made in your career journey so far, or any that you hope to make in the future?
Yes, the answer is a definite yes. If you want to know what that pivot is, I am not sure. So, so I love to just expand my knowledge base and to explore new opportunities. A lot of experience in healthcare. And as I said before, interested in analytics. And I mean, my brain is kind of like where AI is, which is, I don't know. But I know it has a big part in healthcare, and I want to be part of that. Part of that transition in healthcare
Mhm.
with, big data, using it for good and using it in the healthcare arena, and that's about as specific as I can be right now.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And Femi, since you're an alum and we know you made a pivot, um, can you also talk about, any resources at Tepper that helped you with your
Yeah,
career
absolutely.
recruitment?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's probably threefold. I would say it's the people, the process, and the infrastructure around it. So, from a people standpoint, I still remember the professors that had different connections to different parts of businesses, and I was very similar to you too, as well, Dr. Hughley. Like, I just was like, I need a pivot because I want to expand my knowledge base. I don't want to say completely technical in engineering, but because I talked to the different professors, gained their insights, it was great. And also, kind of the piggyback to like the cohort of people that I was with. You have so many people in different industries. My buddy that worked at Nike's, I said, "Oh, how's Nike and this and that?" He's like, "It's great, but I'm leaving." So anyways, you leverage the people side, and then from a process standpoint, I remember specifically that there were different. I don't know. You could probably correct me, Amy, but there were different like. I don't know, workshops or working sessions to talk about career transitions, career
Mhm.
discussions, and things like that. So there was a very definitive process because you do your MBA for many reasons, and one of them is to pivot, especially if your background is in technical or healthcare and not necessarily quote unquote business. The other thing on the infrastructure standpoint, what I'm specifically talking about is I came in with a goal knowing that I wanted to expand my business prowess in engineering and so like construction. The infrastructure that I'm mentioning is that once you leave, it's not like you leave and you're gone. When I left, I actually didn't go right into consulting. Quite frankly, I thought I was going to stay in the current company and kind of expand and do a little business rotation, but I completely like had this like light bulb moment and said, wait, consulting is a good way to kind of understand how several different people are doing things. And then I connected back to the MBA program and the consulting clubs and everything that I never even talked to before leaving, and leverage that infrastructure too as well, including studying for the test and the interview process and the case studies and things like that. So leveraging that infrastructure just doesn't disappear once you leave Tepper and you graduate. Always remember you can tap back in. And funny enough, you mentioned a pivot. Like my next pivot is going to be into a little bit of private equity in the green transition, and I'm leveraging folks that I know in Carnegie Mellon now to help support that too as well. So don't forget that from a people process infrastructure standpoint, those tools can still be helpful during and after you leave Tepper.
Yeah, that's great. You touched on something there, clubs. So are either one of you, were you or are you involved in any clubs at Tepper? And, what's the emphasis on career recruitment or networking in that sense?
Yes, so I'm in a couple of different clubs. The one is the part-time GBA, so Graduate Business Association, an officer there, and help with professional development, and then also Tepper Women in Business, and then these acronyms. So the Black Business Association slash African Business Coalition, ABC. BBA ABC, all three of those, and I'm the VP for alumni and corporate relations for the BBC, ABCDEFG. That one. It's tough, but so as far as the clubs go, I mean, all of these are really important. Not only again to network with people who might not normally be in your sphere and normally be in your circle. Also, just to expand involvement in the organization, like in the university, to get to know people at Tepper in the administration, and other clubs, because we do inter-club activities as well. So it again, just to expand experiences, expand your mind, expand your horizons. And then sometimes we just don't know where it'll lead. And so I am involved in a few clubs, and I've really appreciated being able to contribute to those clubs.
Great. One thing we haven't really talked about is the Master's Career Center. So this is another value add to the MBA program, which consists of licensed career counselors who have industry experience. They create and maintain relationships with the companies that we partner with. They bring recruiters to campus. They offer one-on-one coachings. So, there are kind of two tracks that you can take in the part-time MBA, well, in any MBA, which is to either be on a path to accelerate your career. So, they'll help you leverage for promotion in that sense, or to pivot into another career. So we actually do have in the online hybrid program in the third year, or the 0.8 year, an internship built in, and also a recruitment component. So you are able to do either acceleration, or we do have the recruitment path for you as well. But those one-on-one coachings are totally up to you. So, they're optional, but I do think it does give you kind of an edge if you take advantage of those. Did either one of you take advantage of the MCC coachings?
Not yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did post.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did connect with them. It's been some time, but I do remember it being resourceful for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point. It's available to you up to a year after you leave the program. So we do have that support that continues. Before we switch over to questions, one more question, which is how do you manage both work, life, and school?
I could start off. I'm going to sound like my dad, but it's I just frankly boil it down. It takes a lot of discipline. And like for me, I always looked at the end goal of things. I knew it wasn't a forever thing, like work, life, and school. But I still remember I'd be on a construction site at 5 a.m. You'll work through in the cold of Pittsburgh. Funny enough, I was in Pittsburgh at the time building a polyethylene plant. You'd work till, I don't know, 7 p.m. and then you'd get back and you'd have to study, maybe get in the gym for 30 minutes and you go to sleep and, rinse, repeat. But then there were also highlights of where, you have the access weekends and, you get to hang out and let loose a little bit. But it is, I mean, I'll be very candid. It is a trying time, but it's not a forever time, and you reap the benefits after. So I don't know if that's a very go get 'em speech, but that's the truth for
It's
me.
honest. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
honest.
I also don't have anything very romantic to say. It is a trying time, and I will say I might be disciplined. That might be the word for it. I am, for me, if I think too hard about things, I won't do them. So I tend to jump into things and then figure them out because I know I can figure them out once I get in. But I don't like to overthink things, and so I decided to do it. And right now, I'm working full time as medical director for Highmark. I also have a preteen girl in middle school doing this part time. I work out 3 times a week at least. Still do races, so still keep up my physical activity. So it is possible. What I found is that if you have the desire to accomplish something, then you build the capacity to be able to do that thing, and it hurts a lot. And it just hurts. You just have to do it. And there's points where I was like, what in the world did I get into? And I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like it necessarily didn't get better, but I got better. And I think that was a huge learning point for me is that we often underestimate our capacity until we're put in a specific situation.
Whatever Rebecca's doing, y'all have to do. I can't. That is bravo. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for that. All right. So we're going to go over to some questions. The first one is for Dr. Huey. So this person has a background in healthcare, IT, privacy, digital transformation. They have a BS in computer science and an MBA in strategic leadership. Okay, this is post MBA advice here, Rebecca. And I wish to get my DHA, Doctorate Healthcare Administration. Do you work or engage with any DHAs?
I have never met a DHA. I have met a lot of MHAs. So I don't know the difference as far as the differentiation, what after an MHA, what additional learning there is to get a DHA. But I know with the Masters in Healthcare Administration, of course, there are just several opportunities. But no, I've never worked with a DHA in my clinical experience. No. But happy to answer any questions about my clinical experience and what that might look like.
Great. Next question is for Femi. What strategy do you use to effectively maintain and grow your professional relationships you make on a daily basis? Considering your plate often gets fuller, every detail you can provide would be appreciated.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think professionally for me, like I kind of group the people I engage with in three main buckets. I have sponsors within my network. I have people that are mentors, and there's a difference, and I'll explain that here in a minute. And then I have people who apprentice me. So a sponsor is someone who opens doors for you, and you'll learn a lot more about that, especially in an MBA program. It's that, hey, I think Femi is going to be amazing as a senior partner. I'm going to give him an opportunity. That's a sponsor. A mentor is someone you can go to and say, this was a terrible day. I sucked. You can have those. And sometimes they may be the same, sometimes they're not. And then the third one, the apprentice, is someone who teaches you and shows you how to do something. Typically, it's like someone you report to, right? So within that atmosphere and within that framework, I tend to say, okay, look, like, who do I need to spend time with depending on where I am within my sort of like career journey? If I'm just starting off somewhere, I'm brand new, it's typically with someone who's apprenticing me. I spend a ton of time, learn the trade whatsoever, right? If I'm in a position of like, look, I'm seeking to increase, get to a new position, I spend a ton of time with my sponsors. I understand what does it really take to open the door, because you'll get to a certain level in your career where everyone's great. Everyone can do the job, but am I going to get the shot? That's just to kind of put it very simply. So then you spend time with sponsors more effectively and say, okay, look, like, what does it take to really get to this next level? I've done this and this whatsoever. So I think depending on your transition or where you are within your career or where you are, within your professional timeline, where do you spend more of your effort and more of your time with? So that's one. And then on a technical side too, frankly, I use an Excel. I say, okay, who have I talked to? And like sponsors, I try to keep touching base with them like at least once every 2 to 3 months, just a quick, coffee, chit chat, whatever. So I have like an Excel sheet that I also maintain too as well. And then people that I mentee now for mentees, just to be frank, and I don't want to sound like I'm to put myself on a pedestal. For mentees, I tend to ask for them to reach out when they need help, right? To leverage that time, and I have blocks of time of both for mentees and people that work in my teams of just creating space for them too as well. So anyways, I think it's a combination of where are you within your career, who do you need to touch base with on a frequent basis, how are you keeping open space with, what technical resources are you using? I just use a simple Excel. I'm sure there's like a billion things you could use differently, and then making space for also like on a professional side, like clients too as well. I prioritize them, so there's also a prioritization matrix. So yes, I kind of think about it within those realms. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other questions? I don't know if there are any from LinkedIn that are coming in. Even if you have questions about the program itself, happy to answer those as well. I guess while we're waiting, we'll see. So here's another question that I always love to ask all of my panels for the part-time program. So what is one bit of advice that you could give to someone applying to an MBA that you wish you had known?
I could start off. Don't take no for an answer. I'll be very honest and candid. When I applied to both my undergrad, grad school, and Carnegie Mellon, I was either waitlisted or initial, we're not sure, something like that, whatever it was. Man, Carnegie Mellon, same thing. I think I was just rushing to put together my application. It wasn't the best because, again, working and it was working crazy hours. And then I got waitlisted, and I think it was an option of like, if you write this extra letter, we'll push you forward. And I wrote the letter. I spent time and did it, and yeah, and the rest is history. And I guess my piece of advice would be almost like what Rebecca mentioned is that you just have to throw yourself in there, right, and don't take no for an answer. So that would be my thoughts.
Yeah. What about you, Rebecca?
The first word that came to my mind was breathe. Somebody needs to hear that. Take time to breathe. Sometimes we get so stressed and so anxious and so worried about our future that we forget to just be in the moment and realize how much I have accomplished up until this point to even be in a position to apply to CMU or to wherever I'm applying. And it takes, take some time to just be grateful for being in that position and knowing that things are going to continue to work out and that you have survived 100% of the challenging situations that you've been in so far. And so the odds are good that you will survive this one as well. And so I would just say breathe, take time to breathe.
Great. So we do have another question for you. So this is for Dr. Huey. I'm a PA in North Carolina. I just graduated with an MBA last year. I've left the bedside. This job market has been tough. Any recommendations for breaking into other areas or medical industry?
Well, yes. So what was the mention about the MBA?
They graduated with an MBA last year.
Okay. So, because we have a PA, actually, we have two physicians, we have 3 physicians and a PA in our class right now. So I would say to have an MBA and your PA is excellent. again, I would look at if you're interested in analytics, but then I would also look at, are you interested in administration, either on the hospital side, clinic side, clinical administration, so like a community health clinic or any other type of health clinic. And another thing that I would think about is, of course, the insurance world. So there are a lot of opportunities to, if you have a strong business background, to be in health insurance as well. So I would say that it's almost infinite what you can do. You just need the right you need the right connections and just brainstorm. Try to find those people to brainstorm with to see what other people with similar backgrounds are doing. And sometimes, like for me, that just takes looking on LinkedIn and just randomly reaching out to people. Hey, your path looks cool. Can I talk to you for a few minutes? I've done that so many times and met a lot of people that way.
Sorry, there was a question. And this is just for both of you. You're both in LinkedIn, yes. So, after the panel, are you receptive to having folks keep in touch with you through LinkedIn? Yeah.
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 And apologies if I'm slow to accept. It doesn't mean anything. But yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and I
Yeah.
have to, after what I said, I do the same thing. So I would definitely, if anybody wants to get in touch and just have a
Mhm.
conversation, definitely would love to hear
Yeah.
from you.
And I think you will find that across the board, if you reach out to a Tepper alum, or someone who's currently in the program, especially if it's a company that you're interested in working with, they're very receptive, even at the prospective candidate level. We've had folks reach out and, they've, had coffee chats or just connected over Zoom. But when it comes to recruitment, again, that close knit network is really impressive. We have alum that will reach out to current candidates interested in interviewing for a position and telling them, like, this is the person that you're interviewing with. This is their interview style. These are questions you probably should be prepared. This is a book you probably want to read. So, they do give a lot of information because Tepper alum want to work with other Tepper graduates. So that network is incredibly strong and close knit. Yeah. Any other question? Oh, here we go. Again for Dr. Huey. So this person has over 20 years nursing experience with an MBA, working in corporate for over 11 years. Again, job market is tough to pivot, and they've thought about starting their own consulting leadership business. So Femi, maybe here for you too. Any recommendations on how to get started?
So from what I hear, I don't have a consulting business.
Right.
From what I hear, long hours, hard work, which, I mean, if you're a nurse for how many, 20 years and you've gotten your MBA, you're used to hard work. I would say just be prepared that we're a little bit more seasoned. And so I won't say older, but so there's one thing that I, have thought about in pivots is just, what is my energy now compared to what it was when I was younger, and what does that mean for me? It's not bigger, like it's not negative or positive. It's just, what does that mean for me in starting my own business? So that's one thing. So be strategic, be very, I think it's great. I think it would be very successful. I just think to be strategic about who you're connecting with. Again, find people who are doing the same thing, and talk to your network around you. Find out who they know, people that you trust. Find out who they know, and make it be known what your intentions are. Because often you'll find that once you put your intentions out there and people know what you want and know what you're trying to do, the help will come from unexpected places. And so, but nobody can help you if they don't know what you're looking for. So I would say start to put that intention out there.
Femi, do you have any advice?
Yeah, the one thing I would add is I have a few friends who are in their own consulting slash leadership coaching programs. I would say my biggest advice I would give is that it is there's quite a bit in the market. So just make sure you have that differentiating factor, whatever it is about you, what you do that's going to set you apart from the rest. I think you were spot on. It is long hours, tough, especially when you want to start it yourself. Just like any entrepreneur who's starting something, it's never easy getting out the door. So those would be two recommendations. Just make sure you have that differentiating component, understand the business, that there are several out there, and it does get difficult to get out the door, but also be encouraged because you have a wealth of experience. So I'm sure there's something that's like that diamond that sets you apart from everyone else.
Yes, the experience definitely sets you apart.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any other questions. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any over here. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I would just like to thank everyone for joining me this evening and the insight that you have provided. Again, if I can offer advice, it sounds like we have some people who already have MBAs, but if anyone's still thinking about an MBA, our application is still open. We have a deadline coming up of June 10th, but that will be on a rolling admission base. But if you're thinking about applying next year, my advice to you, paired with breathe and don't take no for an answer, is to apply in the round where you feel like you have the strongest application to put forward. You do not need to apply in round one. Everyone that was just admitted in round 4 is as strong as the folks that were admitted in round 1, and there's scholarship available in all rounds. So when you feel confident and ready, that is your time. So absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate the questions from the audience as well. Yeah, thank you, and good night.
Thank you.